can make it fully done.
Dylan becomes part of the...
It's the other side. I'm Kim Pearce. I'm an English theatre director and I am the director of the London production of May 35th. We're going to try some protest banners.
Yeah.
The silhouette of the monument to the people's heroes.
Okay.
And the silhouette of the goddess of democracy. My first encounter with June 4th was a poem by James Fenton that was included on my English GCSE syllabus when I was a teenager. I was born in the 80s, 1985, so though I was very young when it happened, I think it was such a global event that sent shockwaves around the world that it was a force that was shaping my environment as I grew up. The poem went something like, Tiananmen Square is wide and clean and no one knows where the dead have been. Somehow it just got to my heart, moved me very much. I remember crying in the classroom, and I think from that point on I had a sort of emotional connection with the stories of June 4th. And as I matured and formed my worldview as a person, democracy activists of the 1989 movement, and then more lately the 2019 Hong Kong activists have become people who inspire me and who make me conscious of my own freedoms and what I should do to promote truth and humanity in the world. For a long time, something that's stayed in my mind is the image of Ding Jilin's son, who was 17, and his parents had begged him not to go back to the square that night, and eventually he was so concerned about the university students at the square that he ran into the bathroom, locked the door, and climbed out the window. There is something about someone so young doing something so brave and desperate out of love, really, love for the people on the square. That's always moved me. And I think about like a lot of movements for freedom across the world. I think about women life freedom in Iran, for example, or in Gaza. They're led by very young people, and there's something so incredibly moving about that. In the preparation for this play, I was given access to a huge Dropbox archive of photographs taken from the now closed Tiananmen Museum in Hong Kong, and we used some of those images for marketing for the show. And I had this experience when I was scrolling through them, literally thousands of images. Tiananmen is not about one singular image for me, but scrolling through all these fleeting moments, it was like looking through someone's phone or Instagram. And that experience is about the brief and fleeting humanity of it all. So I've kind of moved on from thinking about June 4th as one particular incident and more about the millions of tiny details that make up the reality of what that period was. The play is based on interviews with the Tiananmen mothers. Certainly that moment of a very young man heading out into the night to be with his friends and do whatever he could to protect his friends. and the aftermath of his parents having to live through 30 years after his murder is very much informs the core of the play. I will say the elderly couple that Candice has created their relationship's very funny and very recognisable. They bicker and fight and swear at each other, and they're actually quite vulgar. And with such a tragic story, the fact that Candice is able to find that humour and lightness is one of my favourite things about the play.
有必要的话，就把这间房子卖掉啊，不然你说要留给谁？
I think the English language production of this play is important in as much as it's another act of transmission. It creates another set of opportunities for people to access the play, the ideas, the emotions, the beliefs of it, who may not come to this play when it's performed in Cantonese, although I think also the productions in Cantonese are very important. So it offers a kind of cultural bridge. Cantonese is, although I don't speak it, working with my dramaturg and translator and having a lot of Cantonese speaking friends, it's a magnificent language that's very expressive in its own right. And some of the way the playwright creates poetry and imagery just can't be transmitted into English in the same way and work in the same way, especially some of the deeper concepts in the play about the nature of the soul and the afterlife have been quite hard to find the right idiom for in English, and also some of the Cantonese humour and some of the very expressive ways Cantonese has to describe dating someone who's younger than you, having a really bad case of diarrhea. English is just a lot more boring when it comes to talking about those things. So we've been playing around a bit with the wording to try and find the most lively way of expressing that.
揾導演都幾難嘅，因為導演都係一個好靈魂嘅人物啦。咁我哋都做過啲資料搜集，即係有冇啲導演係對一啲亞洲啊或者中國嘅議題有興趣嘅，透過認識佢哋嘅 profile， 然後去揾啦。咁所以我哋之前都接觸過，我諗我哋揾咗5、6個人選啦。咁阿 Kim 係最即係可以講係同我哋perfect match 嚟嘅係，因為其實佢本身咧對於中國同埋香港嘅議題都好認識，即係都有認識，同埋佢自己過去都即係都參與過一啲即係關於六四嘅製作啦，關於香港嘅民主運動嘅製作啦。咁所以喺呢個議題方面，我哋大家都係一拍即合啦。咁另外即係到我哋去介紹我哋嗰個戲講天安門母親嘅時候，我會覺得大家都係即係有一個共同嘅信念，希望將被壓制嘅聲音係可以喺個劇場裏面係幫佢哋即係講出嚟咯。咁所以我諗我哋就住呢個有共同嘅信念咯，我覺得即係好彩揾到呢個導演，咁我哋可以繼續我哋嘅工作咯。喺我哋籌備嘅期間呢，即係23條係一個好迅速嘅立法啦，喺香港。我自己離開咗香港都好啦，但我都好依然關心住呢個題目啦嚇。喺我哋揾人嘅時候呢，係真係遇到好多疑問困難嘅。譬如我哋揾我哋嘅創作團隊啦，其實大部分都係喺香港 relocate 過嚟嘅 artist 嚟。當然要問下你即係點樣去睇會唔會有興趣參與咧製作啊？你會唔會返香港啊？屋企人喺香港即係個狀況係點啊？所以我哋大部分嘅創作團隊其實而家都係即係唔會用公開嘅身份去參與啦。咁比較令我始料不及嘅咧就係演員咯嚇。咁我哋去招募演員嘅時候咧，咁我哋當然都做咗一個好嚴謹嘅一個聲明啦，即係同會嚟做遴選嘅演員講，可能會有機會面對香港國安法啊同埋23條嘅風險啦。咁但係因為咧大部分咧嚟遴選嘅演員咧，其實都係本地 嘅 artist 嚟嘅。所以我係比較始料不及咧，原來即係喺本地 artist 咧，佢哋知道即係了解香港嘅狀況啦，對於呢一種唔明朗嘅威脅咧係有擔心嚇。咁有部分都會喺佢哋遴選嘅時候問啊，會唔會有遇到有一啲即係政治嘅騷擾啊嚇？因為喺新聞度會見到，如果做一啲對抗中國政府嘅一啲示威嘅行動，可能即係都會有人嚟騷擾啊，會有出現啲即係肢體碰撞嘅情況啊。咁有演員都會擔心會唔會咁樣即係劇場嘅保安嗰度，你哋會唔會即係要嚴謹啲啊？另外就係都會擔心即係會唔會因為公開咗身份之後，咁會喺唔同地方即係會影響咗以後喺英國本地都好啦嘅一啲工作機會咧。而家國安法喺香港實施嘅情況，咁我哋都有即係話俾演員聽，希望佢哋即係自己平衡個風險之後去決定咯。咁所以而家嘅決定就係即係我哋嘅3個主要嘅演員，佢都係決定即係唔以公開嘅身份去參與演出。
喺個劇裏邊其實都會有講到，就係話佢哋會回憶翻佢哋因為六四而離開咗呢個世界嘅佢哋嘅兒子啦。點解佢嘅兒子會咩事離開啊？係邊個奪走呢個兒子嘅生命啦？我覺得呢一個係一個成個故仔裏邊一個好重要部分。另一個重要部分就係去到可能好嬲尾啦，咁嗰一啲六四嘅亡魂啊，好似我呢啲就出嚟啦。咁然之後可能個別都有自己嘅一啲即係故仔啊、故事啊。成件事本身六四雖然我哋話係一個學生運動，咁但係實際上喺成個歷史政治背後有好多一啲唔熟悉嘅人，一啲可能被忽視嘅階層，一啲專業人士。咁可能我自己扮演角色係一個喺大學裏邊教嘅教授，咁有一個完全對學生咁樣就好冷漠啊，留佢哋做乜咁多事，去到嬲尾啦，慢慢用唔同形式去點樣幫嗰啲學生，甚至就係話喺6月3號夜晚出去揾學生嘅時候就消失咗，再唔出現呢個咁嘅畫面。咁所以我覺得唔單止係一個舞台劇咁簡單啦，而係令到即係英國人重新認識中國。中國係有一件叫做六四事件，有一件事1989年發生，仍然係成為咗中國政府唔俾人講、唔俾人知嘅一個好重要嘅歷史片段。
我覺得可以用英文公演喺英國公演係一個好大嘅里程碑嚟嘅。咁因為六四呢一件事唔係淨係中國人或者香港人知道嘅喎，其實係世界各地都好清楚知道8964呢一件係好大嘅事，大家都知道係天安門 massacre。因為呢件事對好多其他國家嘅政府啊、人民啊都會因為呢件事對中國有忌諱咁樣啦。咁所以我覺得可以用另一種語言，用西方國家嘅主流語言，用英文啦，可以喺英國嗰度表演咧，其實係一種更軟性嘅手法，去話俾更加多人知道，令到大家唔使單方面地接收新聞啊、政治文章啊，即係呢一啲唔係個個都有興趣睇嘅嘢，對我嚟講就會幫助到好多咯。呢一個都係點解我會決定用藝術工作去做倡議或者去 raise awareness 嘅原因，就係因為呢個係一個比較軟性嘅手法，同埋喺英國呢一個文化氣息啊比較濃厚嘅地方，即係又比較 diversified 嘅地方咧，其實大家個接受程度都會高啲啦，而大家都會對劇場呢一類型嘅表演會有共鳴一啲啦，都會願意入場睇多一啲嘅。
I've met quite a lot of people who don't know what the Tiananmen massacre is, which really shocked me at first. So on a basic level, I hope we reawake that history, that knowledge, those memories in a very human way, in a very detailed way. I think beyond that, the play asks us some questions about the nature of the fight for freedom, the nature of the struggle for truth. Sometimes when you stand up for truth, you face very hard consequences.
Whatever you're doing there is good.
How are you creating that?
今年咧係六四嘅35週年啦，咁所以今年都係一個從呢一個六四出發，就係一個好特別嘅年份啦，即係一個重要嘅日子。對於香港嚟講都係嘅嚇，今年係雨傘運動嘅10週年啦，亦都係反修例運動嘅5週年。咁有好多呢一啲咁重要嘅年份係提醒住我哋，我哋呢套戲就咁巧就係喺呢一個大時代嘅時候出生嘅嚇，我哋就喺2019年第一次喺香港公演嘅時候就係2019年。短短呢5年，我哋經歷咗咁多嘢。咁我諗喺今次我哋嘅演出，好希望帶俾英國觀眾嘅就係我哋希望將一個香港嘅製作，香港一個好出色嘅製作帶嚟英國啦。與此同時，亦都可以側面咁講，其實香港過去有嘅言論自由、創作自由、免於恐懼嘅自由，而家係喺度消亡緊嘅。咁我希望即係觀眾都會繼續關注香港嘅事啊！透過個劇咧，我覺得觀眾其實都會可以認識到，即係喺當年中國大陸發生嘅六四事件啦嚇，亦都我覺得喺呢一個時候係值得大家多啲去回顧歷史。